Hey, good day, guys. So today we're going to talk about BNBH. So BNBH has been out for a couple of weeks now, and so far I think the game has been doing fairly well. And there has been a lot of changes, like a lot of nerfs, a lot of updates, a lot of decrease in earnings. At the end of the day, we know that the developers are doing their best to make sure the game has sustainable rewards, sustainable gameplay. Communication wise, I think I like how the devs are doing. Risk is that we don't know who the devs are. Again, in my books, the important things are, right, devs are docs, but these are not. So that removes a tick in my box. Community, it has around 9,000 in Discord channel. Compare that to Worker Town, who hasn't even gotten the game out yet, already has over 30,000 people. So, take that into account. And lastly, of course, partnerships, which I don't think there is at the moment, or I may have missed it. So forgive me if I made that mistake there, but I don't think there is. So why did I get into this game? Because maybe I got hyped into it, maybe because I saw it quite often in YouTube, so I figured like maybe why not try it out. It's in Oracle, and I think the mechanics and how they tried to make the game sustainable is very interesting for me. And so that's why I got into the game. So let's talk about how it works currently, right? So they have the token called BNBH. So it's around $3.77. So one thing to take note of about this game is that, about this token, is that it has slippage. So slippage meaning it has tax. Now tax would vary, probably 13-15%. Normally when I trade this, I put it always the default at 15% to make sure that the trade goes in. So let's just take note of that as the tax for the game, and that tax will be used for, I guess, liquidity pool, added reward pools, and so on and so forth. Anything that would help the game out, right? So it has its purpose, it has its uses. So just take note of that when you're trying to trade your money with the BNBH. So when you're buying it, just take note, like for $200, take 15% off of that, then that's what you're gonna get in terms of BNBH value. And I think it's the same when you try to withdraw your token out in BNBH to any other token. So just take note of that when you're trading this token. Next, second is that game is using Oracle. So meaning that whatever you purchase in the game, like let's say for example you're going to do an upgrade, then the price for the upgrade would always adjust to a specific price. Right now I don't really have that much BNBH, so it's telling me that I don't have the money. So to upgrade one, it's going to cost you 11.11 BNBH. But then again, as I've said, if they're using Oracle, so the price would adjust accordingly depending on the price of BNBH. So it's going to be fixed. I didn't really memorize how much exactly they cost in terms of dollar value, but it is fixed. So same for marketplace, the price here is also dynamic. So it also automatically adjusts the BNBH price when you're going to purchase your heroes in this marketplace, which is great because as a seller, you're not going to be worried about the price adjusting all of the time. It automatically adjusts it for you because it's in Oracle. So if you want to sell at $10, then it will be sold as $10, but in BNBH. Alright, so that's the second mechanic. The third mechanic that they added in is the tax. So I think this is pretty common. When you're claiming, there will be a tax of 20% by default, and it will decrease like 2% every day until it goes to zero. So up to you if you have the appetite to just absorb the 20% tax, or up to you whenever you want to claim it. So that's sort of a control to make sure that people just don't keep on claiming. So that will help level the reward pool for the game. Now another thing they added in is leveling up system. So the leveling up system, they changed it quite recently, so it wasn't part of the launch. So right now their mandatory requirement is that whenever you reach the max level, let's say for level 6, right? So for me, you can see that both of my heroes are nearly at max for this specific level. So once I reach like 6999, then I won't be able to do any more fights. I have to level up the hero before I do any more fights here. So that's just how they did it, in order to control the economy of the game. So I think that's a great addition, but I guess at the end of the day, that also added a lot of costs for me because I wasn't really accounting that one yet. I wasn't aware when I got into the game about that particular requirement. So I wasn't able to put it as part of my initial budget when I'm trying to calculate the cost when I'm going to play the game. And also, just to add, there is an existing BNB Heroes calculator that's being shared by one of the YouTubers that created this. They call them Mathematical Games. You can visit them at their YouTube channel and try and look at his explanation on the calculator that they made. So this will, in a way, help you compute how much ROI, how many days will it take you to ROI for the game. So for this case, like for mine, for example, I had 2 heroes, to have Torlov and Yan. Based on their calculation, if I didn't upgrade any buildings in the game, then the ROI will take me at around 20 days, which kind of matches to what I'm looking at currently, really. And the only thing that this calculator didn't take into account is the cost of leveling up, because I think it's pretty difficult to do an actual calculation, but it has to be counted as part of an investment because that's a recurring cost plus the gas fees. So for every fight you do, there's gas fees for that one, so you need to take that into consideration. So later on, I'm going to talk a bit more about that one. And another good thing about this calculator is that they also have the minting price for the heroes. So the default minting price right now is $191. So if you want to mint a new one, then you can probably go for that. And in terms of percentage rate of getting heroes, I think it's pretty decent enough to get a new, to mint a new one if it's available. I've never minted one in my play in this game. I've only bought mine from the marketplace because they're a bit cheaper. Well, because I'm buying commons. So to look at the drop rate, so you can see that if you try to mint one, there's a 42% chance it's going to be a common, 30% uncommon, 16% rare, epic for 9%, legendary 3%. So there is also specifications in terms of how much percentage chance you can get for a specific type of hero. But of course, I mean, that's a little bit more complicated than just looking at the numbers here, right? But the most important thing you're going to look at is this one. And one important note when you're going to buy heroes in the game, so the important thing to take note always is to consider the speed. Now for the hero stats, you need to take note there is a purpose when you see the attack, speed, and HP of the hero. So attack will help calculate the bonus success rate when you're doing fights, so meaning that if you have a higher attack damage, then you have a higher chance of getting a successful fight. Then for speed will actually give you better BNB rewards, so you really have to take note of that. But of course you have to take note of the attack damage as well, because you might get a lot of speed, you might have a lot of BNB rewards, but the thing is, if your attack is it's kind of weak, then it's not something you can use, because tendencies you're gonna fail a lot more fights. Then HP is used for fighting. Once HP is deleted, then heroes need to rest for a certain period of time and fighting. So yeah, so most heroes have 1000 HP, so give or take you can do 5 to 6 fights a day, or sometimes even 7, depending on how you time it. But yeah, so you can maximize it as much as you can, so just take note of that one. Then for the wiki, so in terms of common heroes, I'd say I think a decent pick would probably be light infantry and archer, because they have, give or take, a good balance of stats. So the one that I have is actually these two. Unfortunate, but I think the main mistake I did was picking Yan, because Yan was cheap when I was trying to find one in the marketplace, and he was the cheapest. So it was like, I thought I was getting a bargain, but apparently I didn't know about it, so that kind of screwed me over. Just take into consideration in terms of balancing the attack and speed in order for you to make a very good decision, right? So same for uncommon, take a look at those stats. Then I think the better one would be light infantry here, would put you in a better position, right? And even archer, and even the scout here. Alright, so now let's look into gameplay. So the gameplay is very straightforward. It's just a click to earn game, really, at the end of the day. So right now I have a hero here that I can actually put into a fight. Now let's try and get into that. So here you have a lot of options. So you can put tier 1, tier 2. So of course the tier 1 would have higher percentage chance to actually win. Then the higher, the further you go, then the lower the chance to get. But of course the BNB earnings would be higher, the XP would be higher. Then for tier 2, of course, it's going to be way higher. So like you can see the comparison here from 68% to 64% in terms of chance. But the BNB earnings pretty much better compared to the Red Skull Free. So Red Skull's Archer would be better. But in most cases, I would normally play the Mage or the Assassin, mainly because of the base BNB rewards. At the end of the day, there's like only a small percentage difference. So I'd rather risk it just to get the assassin or the mage at the end of the day. People would normally say like just go for the mage by default, but again, it's your preference, you know, where your risk appetite is. What I do is I do alternating. I'll go mage and I'll go assassin, mage, assassin, mage, assassin. You know, that's the way I play this game. Then you also have the option to do boss fights, but right now, like, there you only have like 1 in 3 chances to win against this boss, so up to you if you want to risk that. But looking at the calculator, it's actually the recommendation if you want to maximize your reward earnings. So if you want to get your ROI as soon as possible, then they say that the boss is actually the best option to do. And the thing is, when you're gonna fight against the boss, you need to have at least 400 HP. So that means that in a day, you can actually fight the boss maybe at a maximum 3 times a day. So just, you know, max your hero HP, then do your fights. Just accept reality that majority of the fights that you will have with the boss is going to be a loss. But when you do win, you're gonna get 0.02, 0.03, 0.023 BNB, which is pretty big compared to the regular fights that you're gonna have, right? So you're gonna win, like for this one, for the mage, you're only gonna get like 0.006 to 0.008. So the boss technically would compensate, you know, most of the fights that you have for a mage. So a mage would give you, give or take, like 3 fights in order to match what the boss will give you. So I think, you know, it balances out. Like, take the risk for the boss, but you're gonna get decent BNB rewards at the end of the day. So let's do a fight right now. You know, let's just go for mage. There's a good chance I'm not gonna win this because Yan has been a non-performer for the longest, for quite some time right now. So I don't know if this is gonna be, if he's gonna do well. There you go. So we won. That's lucky. I was thinking like I'm gonna lose there. So we can put that in my own calculator. Well, not a calculator, it's my tracker. So we can put that in. So I'm earning like really low for this guy, for Yan. I really don't like him. Like, if you compare the earnings that I'm getting from Torlov versus this one, like, it's so far apart. So one key important item when you're gonna look into your heroes here is that you need to take into consideration of the cost, right? So what I mentioned earlier is that the issue that I did have was that I wasn't aware of the cost for leveling up. I didn't really look into it, and I didn't even know how much the gas fee was. So when I started buying my heroes here, is that I thought that whatever I put in, like let's say 180 bucks, that's it. That's all I need, right? But turns out it's not, right? So you have to consider gas fee. So in a day you can do like 6 or 7 fights. If you try to maximize it, it's possible. But you have to take into consideration, like for every fight, it's gonna cost you 50 cents, give or take 50, 40, 50 cents per fight. So you have to take that cost, which is what I'm doing here. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually calculating the entire cells here just to make sure that I count every single fight that I have, whether win or lose, because that's going to be a cost for gas. Then for the recurring cost for leveling up, so they say the cost is 25% of whatever you earn for that particular level. Like let's say if I'm level 1, I'm maxed out level 1, so 25% of whatever I earned at that point would be charged to your leveling up. So I wasn't aware of that, and that really screwed up my budgeting because, you know, I didn't really allocate anything for leveling up cost. So anyways, so that happened. So what I just did is I just made a fixed cost of $8. I don't know if that's even right, but that was what I was getting when I was trying to level up for the most part for Torlov. So I just put in like, okay, let's say it's just $8 for every level up that I'm gonna need to do for my initial levels, right? So right now what you're seeing here is the total days, and this is the total earnings I had to date with the BNB exchange rate of 562. Now in terms of recurring levels, I'm at level 6 right now, so it costed me at around 41 bucks, and the gas costed me around 24 bucks. So net I'm gonna say that I have 82 bucks earned coming from Torlov, and that's been for the past 8 days. That's net value. So if you're gonna look at the 8-day values, I'm getting around 10 bucks a day, which is not bad, really. I mean, not bad for 10 bucks a day. Now So I needed to know like how much exactly do I need in order to ROI. So my initial cost or initial deposited money was 180, but I didn't account for the recurring, so that's why I needed to take that into account as well here. So what I did is like I do the 2.5. So let's say for 8 days, I multiplied that by 2.5, so that's around 20 days. So in 20 days ROI, if my average earnings for on a daily basis is still the same at around $18 here, then I should have around this much at the end of the 20th day. Then of course deduct the leveling up cost, then deduct the expenses for your gas. So that'll net you around 205. That'll net me around $205, which I technically ROI'd at that point. So that is how I'm actually computing my ROI for the game. Alright, so hopefully this helps you out in terms of your calculations. Again, rule of thumb, when you're playing the game, I highly recommend that you just take your ROI first, because that's the safest way to do whatever game you play. Alright, because the play to earn aspect in the crypto world is super high risk no matter where you go. Even if you say they meet all the requirements at the end of the day, you don't know what's gonna happen, right? So it's really important, just take your ROI, then you start dealing with the decision to whatever you want to do moving forward. Then at least at the end of the day, you still have your capital back and you can reinvest it somewhere else, right? So yeah, so that's about it for my video today. So with that, guys, thank you for watching the video. So hope to see you again in the future videos. Stay safe, people.